Should we tell everyone where we are and what we're...
Yeah, you do it.
The audience is Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
I'm here with Jim Farley, and welcome to the podcast. That's not a takeover, this is Jim's podcast. But we're in the back of an F-150 Lightning, brand new, and it's unbelievable. I'm in Detroit. We just had the craziest day. You are awesome, man. You're a badass. Jim Farley is a badass, by the way.
I probably don't have to tell you, but my guest today is the host of The Tonight Show. What impressed me most about Jimmy is his focus. Even as a teenager, he set the goal to be an SNL cast member, which he did by the time he was 24 years old. I don't know about you, but when I was 24, I was thinking about other things. You won't also be surprised that our whole conversation was recorded in the backseat of an F-150, and that's why it sounds a little different. Jimmy came to visit us in Detroit, and we took him out on the test track. And I have to confess, he was an okay driver. This is Drive, and I'm Jim Farley.
We went in the F-150. I went from 0 to 90 in about 2 seconds or something.
It was perfect. You're like really good driver. No. Like when you hit the throttle, we're actually a little bit off center, and the truck kind of corrected, and you were like, you handle it like totally naturally, like you're a natural.
I think I passed out for 2 seconds. What happened? That's why I looked like I was normal, but I was freaking out. When you see how much sweat is in my armpits, my shirt is destroyed.
Yeah.
It was, and then you go, great. Now we're gonna go fast. And I go, what are you talking about, Jim? We just went fast. And you go, no. We're gonna get into this. What was it? It
was an Australian supercar, V8 supercar, which is like, it's like the fastest racing series outside of like North America and Europe.
But what is all those gadgets that you had? Because first of all, someone had to hand you the steering wheel, which I've never seen.
Yeah, well, because if you want to get in and out fast, they're designed to race, so the steering wheel is detachable, so you can get in and out a lot easier.
And there was like 3 levers to the left of you, and then like 4 or 5
buttons. Yeah, so the buttons are all like controlling the brake bias. So let's say you're on a track and all the turns are right, then you can adjust the brake bias so that when you stamp on the brake, the actual car turns. Normally, like you and me are on a racetrack and it's just you and me, normally 20 other people, and they're all really good skills. Those little things make a big difference.
When did you start learning this?
I didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I couldn't do it when I was a kid. But I like buying and selling, flipping cars. Yep. So even though I'm an auto executive, I've always done that.
That's so fun.
I flipped a car, and the guy who it was a Cobra, it was worth a lot of money. It was my first big car, and he said, Jim, I have cancer, and I really like you, and I want you to buy my car, because I'm not going to make it. I just wanted to go to someone I like, and I know we'll take care of the car, but I have one request if you buy this car. You have to race it, because it was originally built by Ford as a race car. And so I bought the car, and I did it. I just went to racing school because I want to honor his request. And I really liked that. I like the people at the track, and I've realized, like you, my work is so dominating in my life that I don't have a way of getting away from it. But I don't want to be away too long, but I want something like an hour a week or 2 hours a week or something. And when I do it, I don't think of anything else. Yeah. So that's what racing is for me.
I thought that was funny what you said to me, because I was in the car with you, and I go, have you done this before or something like that? And you're like, not really, my first time. But you go honestly, yeah, this is what I do for a hobby. You go, Jimmy, I don't golf. And that made me, and then we went like 150 miles an hour. 150 we were going.
Yeah.
What's the fastest you've ever gone?
At Le Mans, a little over 200 in the rain at night. So no. I was really glad to get out of the car, because it's really stressful. Your lights stop working, and then you're going that fast, your lights don't really see ahead. And there's other cars around you. All you see is the spray in front of you. You're going 200. Everything's going really fast. That's the most stressful I've ever been in. Like, I got out of the race car after, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm alive.
No, yeah. But I mean, when you watch on TV, and I'm, you
have no idea.
You just look like a car's going around in a circle.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't even know mentally how long can people?
I think maybe 3 hours is the most. Your mind goes concentrating.
It's too much stuff.
Yeah, you have
mental
to really.
overload.
But it's same as your show. But when you're doing the show, do you kind of lose track of time?
Oh, I have no idea. Exactly.
Yeah.
I do. I lose track of time.
Totally.
When you're having fun, it's like time flies when you're having fun, right?
Bingo. So how did you know you were going to have fun doing that?
I think when I was a kid, I loved comedy, and my parents used to laugh. They're Irish Catholic family. We used to always have parties. They loved to laugh, and they loved Saturday Night Live. And then I remember getting comedy records, like stand-up comedy records, and Rodney Dangerfield
That guy's amazing.
was the guy. I used to, like my parents.
Did you
would pay me
really?
50
Like records?
They would pay me 50 cents to do Rodney's act at like parties. So I would put on my dad's tie.
How old were you?
Probably 7 or something.
No way. And you'd be like,
I go,
did you go to the wife?
I go, I'll tell you, my wife's cooking so bad. I mean, since when does toast have bones? You know? And I said, she told me to take out the trash. I said, you cooked it, you take it out. All right? Yeah, so I would do this whole act, and I would get 50 cents for it, and I go, oh, I got the bug. You know, and I wanted to make people laugh. And I remember I was a senior in high school, 17 or 16, and my mom heard about an impression contest on the radio, and she said, Jimmy, you should enter this contest because you do great voices. I hear all the voices you do in your bedroom. I go, what else do you hear? How
Too much information.
Yeah, how thin are the walls? Yeah, I gotta make sure. I gotta put some dampers by my bedroom. I go, all right. But so I entered this contest in Bananas Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Okay.
And it was world's funniest comedian in the Hudson Valley. And so what I did was impressions of all these different famous people, celebrities, auditioning for a troll doll. You remember those dolls?
Oh yeah, totally, with the crazy hair, different colors. Yep.
So someone gave me a troll doll for graduating that year. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I go, all right, I'll make an act out of it. So I would do different celebrities auditioning. So I go, all right, first up, John Travolta. And
yeah.
Like, she's like, swear to God, like look at his hair, right? Like this, like crazy. Like who does his hair like this?
Crazy.
I can't believe this type of thing. You know? And then I do like Adam Sandler or whatever. Like, you know, whatever. And so I ended up winning the contest.
No way.
And I got like $1,000.
And you had never performed, like you'd never been in front. Were you nervous?
I was so nervous, and it felt like it was. That felt like it was 4 hours, and I was only on stage for like 2 minutes. And then I got home, and I remember putting all the money. Like it was $1,000, and I put it out on my kitchen table. And I took a picture of it. This is back when you had 12 photos in a camera roll. So every picture had to count for something.
Yeah.
So I remember taking a picture of it and going like, if I can make $1,000 in 2 minutes, this is a great career. That was the last time I ever made that much money. Of course, things worked out for me, but you know, as a comedian, you don't make that much money. Yeah, but I got the bug there, and then I started doing clubs, and that club, Bananas, said, we'd love for you to come back every week and be the MC and just kind of build your act.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even drive them. My dad had to drive me.
Do you think being so amazing at impressions or music, everything you're good at, how much of that is you're born or learned?
You know, I had a good ear when I was a kid, but I remember like my dad used to sing doo-wop in Brooklyn, you know, and so he loved music. So he was always teaching us, always singing. We always had the radio on. My mom loved music. Yeah, my dad's like, we could be a band. You know, we're the Jackson 5, you know, the Fallon 4, whatever. And my mom really couldn't harmonize.
Amazing.
They were fun. They were just fun people and characters. My mom, she's not with us anymore, but she passed away 4 years ago. But they would come over and they can't hear each other, you know, at this point. So the whole conversation is, huh? And then she goes, what? He goes, oh, I wasn't talking to you. She's like, you talking to me? He goes, no, I wasn't trying. Why are you not talking to me?
Abbott and Costello.
Oh, it's the dumbest thing.
Who's on third base?
Oh, it's so dumb. And they get in fights, and I go, oh my gosh, you know, just arguing back and forth.
So did she come to any of the performances?
Yeah, I mean, she was my number one fan. I mean, my mom was.
Did you ever do something she was embarrassed, or like, Jim, you went too far?
I would do her voice every now and then.
You did?
And she wouldn't like that as much. But then, you know, I did this independent movie once, and they're like, we have to cast someone playing your mom in the past, and they cast Sharon Stone to play my mother.
No way.
And my mother was like, finally, good casting. I look exactly like Sharon Stone. Finally, they cast. It went right to her head. I go, you gotta be kidding me, man. So she loved that. Yeah. That was the best. But she loved anything I would do. She would love. She would call me like, you're on Ellen. Right, and I go, I know, Mom, it was me. I was on that. Yeah. When I got the Tonight Show, the local news had a trivia game. Trivia about Jimmy. She goes, "You're on TV right now. Jimmy Fallon trivia is on TV." And she's answering the questions. I go, "Hey, by the way, this game's not for you and Dad." He's like, "Where was Jimmy Fallon born?" It's like, "Brooklyn."
Brooklyn.
Like, of course you know where I'm born. This game isn't for you. But, you know, it could be worse. She could have gotten them all wrong.
Yeah.
That would have been real bad. But they were fun, you know,
That's cool.
and my dad's
That's
still
really cool.
fun, and I see him all the time. And, you know, I make him sing with me. You know, I'll go over his house and we'll sing
cool.
doo-wop. And, you know, he still loves music. And, you know, now he talks to Alexa so he can go, "What? Huh? Alexa, stop! Huh? What?" You know, my
Now,
mom.
did you? Because I came from Irish family too. Did you have any loud people in your family? Like they were like excessively loud for the situation?
Yes.
Because my wife didn't know anything about that. So we went to a family reunion. She's like, "What the hell is wrong with your family? Everyone is shouting at each other."
Wherever
Do you have
we go,
that?
my dad is so loud. People would come up to him and be like, "Can you please quiet down?" Like, "Well, we're in the quiet car here of the train." He's like, "No, we're not in the quiet car." He's like, "I know, that's how loud you are. 3 cars away, we can hear how loud you are." Yeah, everyone's loud. And, you know, and then someone would cry.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way Irish people
Well, the
are.
other thing, I don't know about your family, but we had a couple of odd like fights among the men, and we had to go to the church the next day. And my dad's like, "You can't talk to your cousins." I'm like, "Dad, what's wrong with your eye? It's all."
You can't talk to them anymore. They're not, yeah.
And my mom's like, "Your dad got in a fight with his brother. You know, just don't talk to your cousins at church." I'm like, "Well, Dad's like an
Was your
old
family
guy."
religious? I know Chris was.
Totally. Oh yeah. But there were all these hacks. So my dad would go, "You know, just be an altar boy. It goes out a lot faster." And then as soon as we get in the parking, you know, he's like, "Get the hell out of my way!" And my wife's like, "Jim, we just got out of church. What are you doing?" He's like, "That asshole just cut me off." He's like,
That's exactly right.
It's like, wait a minute, but Dad, we were just
in church. He's like, "I'll confess about this tomorrow."
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to be a priest.
What happened?
I think girls. I think just the idea of girls.
But
kinda
like
stopped
every
that.
Irish mom, like if you're a priest, that's like a huge deal.
Yo, it's an honor
So-
to have your son get
Yeah.
the gift.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was a great altar boy. Which
You were?
I remember. I think I was talking to Bill Maher, and he was like, "I think you got your performing from being an altar boy because that's probably your first time on stage." If you think about it,
That's true.
you're on stage. I mean,
It's true. Everyone's watching you.
Everyone's watching.
A couple times, I would like lose place where I am, and I'd be like,
No, the worst part. The worst
Yeah.
part is when you start giggling,
Yeah.
or at a funeral or something. I remember there was one funeral, and the priest had squeaky shoes, and it's not funny necessarily, but when it's quiet and it's sad, and it's a funeral, it's the funniest thing in the world. And every time he walked, I would go, "Oh my gosh!" And I imagine me, and oh, I had to leave. I had to go backstage, and like I would be shaking. I'd be shaking and sweating. Okay, there's something wrong with Jimmy. When you see a Ford sign, when we passed a couple of Fords, do you get goosebumps? Do you go, "Wow, that's me"?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like I go into like, especially dealers in the middle of nowhere, and I'll go in and like, how many did you sell this week? And they're like, "So
"Oh
who's
my-"
asking?"
You're
And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm just from the company." And then, you know,
You're like, "This is an undercover boss, dude. I'm not wearing a fake mustache and a hat.
Exactly.
This is
But
me."
I do that a lot. I do the undercover boss thing a lot.
do?
And the dealerships, yeah. I go in and then I'll send a note to the dealer afterwards, like, "Yeah, and your bathrooms were kind of dirty." And he go, "Why didn't you tell us you were coming?"
That's the whole
Like
point.
the whole point. Yeah. So
When did your grandfather? He was a Ford.
yeah, he was 389th employee.
No.
And he was an orph, like he had nothing. So when he got his job at Ford, it totally changed his life, put us all through education. My mom went to college.
389th employee of Ford.
In fact, when I joined the company, I didn't know much because he was a really humble guy. And so I went, I joined the first day and I was like, "Do we have an archivist?" And they're like, yeah. Could I talk to them? Sure. I came in, I was like, "My grandfather's name, Emmett Tracy. Could you look him up?" And the guy called me back and he's like, "Mr. Farley, your grandfather's like a really early employee, like first couple hundred, and we have his badge." And I'd never seen a picture of him when he was a young man because he had no money.
Oh,
and back then, photographs were really expensive. And so he brought the badge up, and he looked just like one of my cousins, or my cousin looked like him. And I was like, oh my God, look how young he is. He's like 14.
He is actually, my grandpa wasn't just an old man.
Yes, exactly. I didn't know.
A kid.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
and I got all his pay stubs, and like when he got reprimanded, he did bad stuff. It was in the
It's in the files?
Yeah, it's in the files. So yeah, he where we're going, he worked at the Rouge in the foundry, and that's like the first thing we do. We get the iron ore from Minnesota and Wisconsin, and we turn it into steel that makes the cars. And he worked there, and it's like 200 degrees inside.
He's got to be smiling right
Yeah,
now.
I think so. Someone asked me, like, what would your grandfather say right now? And I said, I think he'd say to get back to work.
He's one of those guys. Yeah. The thing I like about it is that I think both of us, that we have fun at what we're doing.
Totally.
And do you ever think that you would do this?
No.
Would you think you'd be a race car driver?
No. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a product planner who invents the new products that no one has. That's all I wanted to do.
I love coming up with inventions.
Yeah.
I have a new invention. Can I pitch you an invention?
Okay. Go for it.
Because I think any back pills or any of those like Advils or Aleve, there should be a string attached to the cap. Because when you drop the cap, when you have a bad back, that is the worst thing in the world. You open up the Aleve. First of all, that's hard enough. Yeah. Like, my back hurts me. I can't even open this thing. Then you open it and you drop the cap.
And you can't move.
You can't bend down to pick it up. So just have it attached. The cap should always be attached to the Aleve.
So let's talk about this, what you're saying, because, Homer Simpson invented a car. It was called the Homer, and it had a beer dispenser and a donut maker in it. So like, and so
the Home V.
Yeah, exactly. So, have you ever thought of that kind of invention for cars? Because I'm quite interested.
Well, I've got my F-150. Probably 7 years ago now. I always like those kind of chrome toolboxes in the back of a truck.
Yeah, with the diamond.
Yes.
They have like the diamond cut.
Yeah. For extra grip.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
just to be a
I'm going to stand on that thing. I don't know what that's for. So I go, but it looks cool. And they're like, what do you do with that? And they go, you put tools in it. And I go, I'm not going to put tools. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with tools?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
But you like the way it looked.
It looks cool. It looks rugged.
Yeah.
So I got that. And then I asked my buddy, he does like these custom car stuff. I go, is there any way I could put a popcorn maker in this thing?
In the toolbox.
In the toolbox. So he built hydraulics. You press a button, and out of nowhere, this popcorn machine rises out of the thing.
Way.
And then it's also, I had to put a separate battery in just to power that.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
We don't make the battery big enough to power that when it's like not started.
No.
Yeah. So you needed a supplemental battery.
Yeah, so I had a supplemental battery for that popcorn machine, thinking it's the coolest thing ever. And then the other side of the toolbox was just kernels, bags, popcorn bags to get to,
Right.
I thought I was going to like go to the beach and like make them for
Have you
kids.
has Jimmy Fallon ever gone to a place unannounced to make popcorn and gave it out to people?
I did it once.
And what happened?
No, there's no one there. So it was a big flop. I made all this popcorn. There was no one there. I go, hey, this is like my big moment. Then I'm like, do I have to go to like a grocery store parking lot? And then how sad is that? Then I go, it's almost too sad. So I go,
that's funny.
And then my kids, they were impressed maybe the first time, and then they were like, can we make this indoors? Like, why are we?
And the guy that customized that certainly had never seen that request before.
No, this was absolutely out of the ordinary. I posted it on Twitter, and everyone went nuts. And Blake Shelton came on the show, and I said, Blake, I got an F-150, man. He's like, why in the hell will you get a truck? That's not right. What? You better make sure that thing gets some mud on it. And I go, where I drive, there's no mud where I go. He's like, that's why you shouldn't get a truck. I can't even believe, I almost can't talk to you right now. So when I drive, I actually go out of my way. I hit a puddle. I just go over and hit a puddle just to wait till it dries, and then I go, Blake, you wouldn't believe I went off-road today.
We should have you and him at our test track for the F-150, the off-road test track.
Oh, how many can you get?
Oh, you have no idea. We have some F-150s. The world's biggest gold mine is in Nevada, in the world, and it's all underground.
Oh.
And the trucks they use, they're so excited about the electric F-150 because used to all the emissions,
Oh.
and they've never had a zero emission truck. But they are underground their
I didn't
whole
even
life.
think about that.
It's huge for them.
Because they can't, what are they even using? There can't be gas, right?
They have gas, but they have these huge fans that suck the emission out of the mines because there's all people down there.
No.
And it's like miles
I
down there.
remember driving a forklift. I worked at a beverage center. I drove a forklift, and it was like
The propane probably.
propane tank.
Yeah.
And people would just get high off the tank. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to pass out. I'm like, all right, well, I can cover you for a half hour. I guess you can nap in the cooler, I guess. But it's like, I can't even imagine
this
being in an underground mine going,
yeah, all day, all night.
this
and
is going to change the game for
Totally. And so that's why I went. I was like, we want you to get early prototypes of the Lightning and they're like, we'd love to do that. We want to test them, give us 50. And the cool thing is they're submerged underwater, like 4 feet of water and mud underneath. And these trucks are literally underground, and they look like they're from Mars because they have all this dripping mud. Like if I showed you them, you'd be like, what the hell is going on with those trucks? But that's how people use the F-150. We have F-150s in the North Slope of Alaska. If they stop working, people die. Because it's like 50 below zero, and they're 50 miles from anything. Stops working, but when you really understand how people use these products, we make 1 million of these a year. In the plant you're going to, 1 million.
1 million?
1 million a year.
It's just insane.
So this is our territory. Those are all trucks. We make thousands every day at the factory we're going to go to. And this is called the Glass House. This is our world headquarters. Henry Ford was born right around the corner from here. He started Henry Ford Museum to educate the children of the factory workers. He started Greenfield Village. It's hundreds of acres, and he bought the Wright brothers cycle shop, the first courthouse for Abraham Lincoln. He moved it all here so he could teach the children of the factory workers.
It's all here?
Yes, about American history.
Does anyone know that?
I don't think most people, like in New York, know. They don't know much about New Jersey.
They really don't. New York is just a thing in New York.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even know if I've taken my kids to see Statue of Liberty. They know it exists, but I'm like, we don't do that stuff.
The guy who inaugurated the Henry Ford Museum was Thomas Edison, and they were best friends. And
it's like, what'd you do today?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh
I invented the photograph.
Yeah,
What'd you do?
I was trying to think of how maybe attaching the cap to an Aleve bottle. It's like, I'd be thrown out of the house. You're a moron. We can't hang out with you anymore. Your ideas are, you're an idiot.
And that's our test track right there, you can see. And it's very large. It's our home test track. And the origin of that is Mr. Ford got really excited about aviation. And so he invented the tri-motor, which was the first commercial airplane. We developed the first airport hotel, and that was the runway for our tri-motor business. He was the richest man in the world, but he wanted to democratize air flight. And Charles Lindbergh helped them start that business together. So yeah, when you drive around Dearborn, it's like everywhere you look is
something
kind of
amazing.
American history. Yeah.
That's pretty, it's just insane when you think about what he did and what he did for the world as we know it. Changed it.
Totally. I mean, I'm so proud to, serve the company. Sorry, thinking about my grandfather. He, like my grandparents, they had nothing, but he introduced the $5 a day wage, and people came from the South, who were children of the slaves. They had nothing, and the largest Middle Eastern community in the country is here in Dearborn because people came from the Middle East to work in our plant, and they developed their own Islamic community here. By the way, that's the Lions practice facility, and Bill Ford's father owns the Lions. So, but I'm a Packer fan, so it's really awkward on Monday morning.
Better keep practicing, guys. I saw the game last week. Yeah, now I see why the parking lot's full.
Gosh, practice facility. Do they know where it is? I can say that because I'm not from here. I'm allowed to say that.
I have to explain how this interview went from Mr. Ford. We'll go, Jimmy representing our product. Oh no,
Someone's gonna get in trouble.
Exactly. So we're close. We're pretty close to the plant, and so this is the largest industrial campus in the United States. We're building a bigger one in Tennessee for some of our electric vehicles, but this is the biggest. It took 4 years to build. It was started in 1928, and the only time we've ever shut down this plant from 1928 until this day was during COVID. We never shut it down during World War II.
How did you get through COVID?
I was in the plant. I had just become the CEO of the company, and
How'd you keep it open?
The union guy came on, and we were just having a meeting there, and the head of the union came in and said, Jim, the workers are starting to leave their workstation. They think it's unsafe to work with all these other people.
Yeah.
And we got to do something. And I looked ahead in manufacturing, and I said, let's shut it all down. And we shut every plant down. And we were down for 2 months, and we went through $10 billion of cash, which is about half our cash. And we didn't know what would happen. We shut everything down.
You're the leader, so everyone's looking at you, so you got to be calm, and you got to go,
yeah.
oh yeah.
So the weirdest thing happened. I'm so glad you asked about this, because as soon as it happened, the newscasters started saying, hey, we're short on this stuff called PPE, and there's not enough ventilators. And our team, without anyone asking them, not Ford asking, months before the government said, we are going to figure this out.
Wow.
We converted one of our facilities to making PPE. We called around from 3M and other companies. Within 2 days, we were making the stuff.
God, you don't think about who's making these things.
Yeah, and then we started getting ventilators. People drove around the country to go to ventilator manufacturers, because we know how to manufacture at volume. And there's a lot of people who know how to make small volume, very complicated things. There's a lot of people who know how to make simple things in high volume. Very few people know how to make complicated things in high volume. So this is the site on the right. It's a couple miles long. That's our steel mill that makes all the steel for the F-150.
Oh my God. This is so cool.
And this is like American manufacturing, man. You're in the middle of it.
So cool.
And this has been our place since 1928. We've been upgrading for environmental to cool and heat the place. We put grass on the roof now. We have solar energy now. We're really trying to make it a totally green facility.
Did you get like flack for doing that stuff, or even suggesting that you go electric or make the F-150 electric?
People just, people are scared of change. And sometimes you got to just stand out in front of the line and say, it'll be okay. We're going to do this right, but trust us.
Do it together.
Yeah. So here's the plant. This is just a small portion of it. This is our stamping plant on the left, where we stamp all the aluminum pieces. We were the first company to go aluminum. So the whole F-150 body structure is made out of aluminum. We had to build 2 aluminum plants because no one had ever made this much aluminum. Most aluminums are for cans. And they were like, well, the aluminum industry is like, well, we have to double the production of all aluminum in the United States if you go aluminum with the F-150. And we didn't want our competitor, because it's going to be so light, it's 500 pounds lighter, this truck, than our competitors. We didn't want them to find out. So we built 6/8 size pickup trucks, and we drove them around the GM proving grounds. To think that we're going to make our trucks smaller.
That's genius.
And they were like, oh, they're going to make the F-150 smaller. So if they heard rumors that we're going aluminum, they would not. They wouldn't think about it. Therefore, no one followed us, and we got better fuel economy.
But it handles better.
Yeah, everything's better. Now with electric, it makes it even better. So. Yeah, so now we're coming in the site, and there's probably about 10,000 people, Americans, who come here every day.
We just went past the security gate.
Yes.
I want to say, and the guy recognized me and said, go right in. No.
Everyone will recognize you when we get inside.
I think it was you.
So we bring in all the raw materials, sand for glass, steel, iron ore from the Great Lakes. We have boats that come into the plant, and we make our own steel, and this is the where we make the F-150 Lightning in this building, which you're going to go to, and it's in the middle of this huge site where we make all the F-150s.
And what are you expanding it?
And we are already, when they first came to me, they're like, my team was like, we think we should capacitize to 20,000 units. I'm like, isn't Elon Musk building a plant for 100,000 vehicles?
On Mars?
Yeah. Why? If we're the truck leader, why do we want him to build more trucks than us? I was like, 70,000. I don't know. You now see all the construction?
Yep.
We're building those sides so we can build 150,000.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly what I'm talking about. That's great.
Sometimes, I don't know. I didn't want to. I thought we could do better than him.
Well, look at everyone's working here. There's someone on a smoke break over there. Oh, wait, he plays for the Lions. Hey, keep it up, buddy. Oh, they shouldn't really. It's unbelievable. These guys are amazing.
So, yeah, everyone's nervous. There's a lot of security people because Jimmy Fallon's coming to our plant. So, there's a lot of people excited about your visit. So,
well, I will never forget this day.
Cool.
Jim Farley, you're up, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy.
Drive is produced by Jesse Baker and Eric Newsom of Magnificent Noise. Our production staff includes Julia Natt, Eva Walchover, and Kristen Muller, with help from Lori Arpin, Krista Gentile, Max Owen Dunell, Catherine Sanders, Darnell Macon, and Mark Truby. Our host is Jim Farley, and this is Drive.